Welcome back to LDS Singles Anonymous. I'm Mackenzie.
I'm Buzz.
I'm Amy.
I'm Linnea.
Okay. Today we're talking about why you would or wouldn't go to LDS Singles activities.
Wow, that's a deep subject.
And I'm sure one that's touchy for a lot of people.
Speaking of a lot of people, Amy, what's the last singles activity you've been to?
It's been a long time. The last activity I went to, it had been a long time before I went to that activity, and I only went because I had a friend in town, Mackenzie actually, and she was visiting and just kind of wanted to get a feel for the area and the singles wards nearby. And I went and I was like, yeah, we can go. Like, I'll go because you're going to be there. And then it was a dance that they were teaching something and it was partnered. Everyone was very, very young and it felt a little awkward. I was like, this is kind of a representation of the singles wards in this area. And then we both smiled, laughed, talked a little bit, and then we left.
Just left. Yeah.
So let me ask you a question from a female perspective. Do you go to a singles activity if you don't have a friend to go with you, if you don't have a wingman?
I have before. I don't think I typically seek them out on my own, but I have gone to several on my own.
I feel like more often than not, no. Like if I move to a new place, at this point in my life, I have a fairly well-established friend group. But if I happen to move somewhere new and I want to meet people, I would go by myself. Okay. But by choice, I would not.
Yeah, same. I moved states and I didn't know pretty much anyone, and so I went to activities because it was just an easy way. But I'll be honest, it wasn't necessarily like the co-ed activities. It was mostly Relief Society activities. I was like, I don't have any friends here. And so I felt like Relief Society activities were a little bit more approachable and easy to just like slide in and start talking to people because there's not quite that pressure there is when you go to an activity where there are both genders.
Correct. Well, and the other thing, I think there's steps, and certainly the Relief Society and the Elders Quorum activities, that's easy to go to.
Yeah.
I think the next one is maybe the Sunday night firesides, because it's a spiritual thing. I'm going for a fireside and I leave when I want to. I don't have to sit around at the tables and eat the same Costco cookies and drink the water.
Wait for the activity to start.
I can leave when I'm ready to go. So, and then we get a little bit more difficult. So what are some of the more difficult activities to come to? What are some of the ones that you're like, no, I won't do that. I won't go to that activity.
Well, I'd ask that of you as well, because I honestly at this point I don't really go to activities, so I'm really not a very good expert on this. But I mean, most activities I don't really think about attending at all because I have an established friend group and that's really what I wanted from it. But what activities you as the single adult rep in the state, what do you see?
Things that I see a lot of dances, like a lot of dances. I think a dance is appropriate once a quarter.
Yeah.
Any more than that, you're treating me like I'm 14 years old, and back when we were 14 years old, you'd learn about the people from the other state by going to the dance. Yeah. Now we just stalk them on Facebook. We can learn everything we need to know about the other people in the other state or whatever by different social media, by friends, by online presence, all this type of thing. So dances, the way they pushed them and the way they kind of keep pushing. There's a dance every week in this town. Every single week there's a singles dance in this town. And certain people like it and love it and go to them. My state president came to me and said, we need you to start attending the dances. And I went, okay. I'm given a command from a superior. I will keep this. I went to the dance and went, oh no. I came home after the dance and went, you've got to be kidding me. So the next dance, I brought a deck of Uno cards and a deck of something else, a Phase 10. And I went to the dance, turned on the lights in a Relief Society room, set up a couple of tables, Uno there, Phase 10 there. We got game night, and I am dressed awful. I mean, kind of like I am now. I just got off a plane, dressed awful. And they're like, "You're here for the dance?" No, I'm here to protest the dance by having a game night. 2 weeks later, or 2 times later, because I guess it was every month. It was some fourth Friday, which makes so much sense.
Yeah.
So I started doing the game night, and people started coming to the game night, and pretty soon the game night is as well attended as the dance. And then it became well, we'll go out and dance one dance, but it's so loud in there. We can't really talk to anybody. We come out here, and this is where we actually meet people. Now, maybe not meet people to pair off. Maybe not meet people, I'd like to go on a date with her or him or whatever, just to get to know people. It got to the point where every Friday, people came out because it was a social activity. This is when I hang out with my friends because they live 30 miles away. We don't do this and that. And it became that. The dance was moved. They stopped the game night. I stopped going because I'm not going to a dance. But the games, like I now have a suitcase full of games, and we just throw them out, and everybody has a good time. That seems like, again, you got your tiers, and it seems like it's kind of in here. Game night. You come when you want, you leave when you want. You play a couple of hands of Uno, you go away, or you move tables when the one creepy guy just keeps hitting on you. So that seemed to work really well. The dance, for me, doesn't work.
I'm even someone who likes dances and likes to dance, and I also agree with once a quarter is great.
Yeah.
So
it's actually dance was my life. You also danced all the time.
You love dancing.
Initially, the idea of there's a dance, right? That's I love to dance. Let's put on music and have a good time. And sometimes if I have a group of friends to go with, I'm let's go and dance to loud music and have a fun time by ourselves. But it's so hard to meet anyone there, and even just casually make a new friend. That's not why I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go because I want to dance with my friends, and then we're gonna leave.
Absolutely.
So riddle me a question. You are now the authority over the dance. How do you make it so people will actually want to come? Or how do you make an arterial activity that in association with that people will come to? I'll tell you one idea that we did. We said, okay, the dance is great. It doesn't start till 8:30. Everybody meet at 7:15 at this restaurant. We had people that would go to the restaurant, hang out for an hour and go, I don't really want to go to the dance. But it was great meeting with everybody. Great, I paid for my meal. They paid. It didn't have that awkwardness to it. But if it's to eat at a restaurant, the men will come. If you build it, they will come. Guys don't come to a lot of activities. Just because. I don't know why. But
there aren't very many of them.
There aren't very many of them. The older you get, the harder it is to find them. But I've noticed that if you say there's food here, they won't come. If you say we're going to this restaurant, they'll come. And it doesn't matter if it's just a dive. If you go to Del Taco on 39-cent taco nights, and to me, it just simplifies things. I go to a restaurant, I order what I want, I eat what I want, and it just makes it more simple. That's
true.
why if there's an activity, hey, we're gonna have dinner and a dance, I won't go to it. I won't even show up. Nope. But if you say, hey, we're going to eat at Barrel's Pizza and then go to the dance, I'll definitely go to Barrel's Pizza. I might even show up for the first 15 minutes of the dance.
Yeah, the company's
Maybe
good.
I'll be the 70-year-old creepy guy that hits on the 29-year-old girl who just came to check
let me
it
tell
out.
you, it's rough. Yeah. So that's true.
Oh, go ahead. So what are other reasons why we would go to an activity, dance or no?
I'll be completely honest, sociality.
Yeah.
yeah, that's
It's
usually
a social structure. It's
social
meeting
activity.
people that are like us. I have not been to an activity in a decade that I've gone, ooh, I'd really like to get to know her.
That's fair. I totally agree with the social aspect. However, I'm usually drawn to go where I already know the people. It's
Correct.
a free place to go hang out with each other, and then I just always naturally end up meeting people.
Well,
But
if I
don't
know
remember
four people,
going just to meet people,
if
unless
I-
I move somewhere new.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the thing.
That's the one difference.
if I know 4 people there and there are going to be 10 new people, I'm comfortable. When I come and I know there's going to be 15 people and I don't know a single one, now I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But if there's going to be 4 people I know, I'll go. And I'll meet 2 new people and kind of remember the names. Or, you know what? I remember you from like last month. But if they're the 4 people of the social group that I'm used to, I'll go because I'm comfortable. And it's good to meet new people.
Yep. And that's a safe place to meet new people because you do have a safety net of people you already know.
Safety net of people you already know, and you come when you want and you leave when you want.
And you leave when you want. Yep, I would agree.
That is so important.
Yep.
When you carpool to a fireside and there's 4 of you and one of you wants to bail and the person that drove is like, I'm staying here till the end.
Staying here, gotta go all the way.
Gone. Yeah.
Yep, that's also very uncomfortable. Well, it's part of like adulting. You want to have that independence.
Yeah.
It really helps. But I don't know. I think another reason why I have gone to activities in the past is because I felt guilty. Either one of my friends or me is in charge of the activity, so I have to go. Or I feel like I should be because I have been told since I was very young that I would meet my spouse at an activity or something, and so I don't go and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I should have gone, forgive me, so I feel like some guilt in there as well is something.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I had someone who knew I loved to dance, and so they were like, hey, we got someone in to come teach a Zumba class, and it was right at the time when I was like, done with activities. I don't want to go to them anymore. And she specifically came up to me and told me, we're doing this activity on Monday.
For you.
And I thought of you when we planned it. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'll come. And then it turned out that it didn't end up being what she had said it would be. It ended up being something else. But like, I was like, I appreciate so much that you thought about me. But it was just this aspect, like I had established a group of friends and I knew that none of them were going to be there. And like, it's like, I knew the people who were going to be there and they're great and they're wonderful, but they're just not the people that I have as much in common with. And so I was like, I will go and I will say hi and I will smile and I will make small talk, but I just don't have I know who all of these people are. I've already met them. I already went to the same activity before. So I know who's going to be there and just great people, but just not, it was.
So let me break topic. Someone was trying to, maybe not trying to, but there was certainly guilt there because they said, we made this activity for you.
Very targeted.
How much of our guilt to the activity is because we think we're expected to, we're single, we need to go to the singles activity to finally, fill the measure of our creation.
Yes.
And how much is perceived in our mind and how much is real? Now, when my stake president came to me and said, you are going to start attending the singles dances. Okay, that guilt is 100% real. Yeah. There's nothing in my mind about that.
That's a guilt trip.
So question, how much, there's a fireside in 2 weeks, the Friday fireside, there's a Sunday fireside thing. How much is perceived and how much is real that we're not going to go? Oh, by the way, I will be there.
I will not be there. I think guilt is a choice, personally. And someone can say all they want to me about you should or shouldn't be there, and if I don't want to go, I am not going. So, and then if I want to go, I'm going to go. And I think it's real to be guilted into something, or to have someone try to get us to do something. I mean, we hear this all the time, if you pray, your husband will be cuter, or if you do your
visiting
ministry, yeah. Dated myself there. Everything will go so much smoother and better for you in your life. All these weird promises that aren't related at all. No.
Garbage.
And I just have decided I'm not listening to those. So
yeah, and that's the thing is that I reached a point where it's I did it. I tried it. I experimented. You told me that this would be great for me. And it just, it filled its purpose for a little while, especially when I was younger. I think it can be really great when you are, when you first go to college or the first time you leave home, right? It's good to have, a group of people who are your age and to have some activities that are, when I'm 20, activities that were similar to Young Women's, Young Men's activities are, this is familiar, there's people my age, there's food because I'm poor, and that's great, right?
I will go.
But at 28, it just doesn't have the same appeal that it had then.
Yeah.
the transition.
I think it's interesting that you have an affinity for the firesides as one of those safer things. I actually really don't like firesides.
Well, my theory is if it were invitations to only the singles versus invitations to anyone in the stake or region or whatever, would I go? So, hey, there's going to be a good speaker. He's going to speak on this, or she's going to speak on this or that. Would I go? I think there's a 75% chance if it's just a good for the stake, for the region, and it's somebody that's interested, I would go. So why do I now not want to go? Because it's a singles thing.
Because it's a singles one.
Well, and the other thing, and this is a whole different concept, and I really don't want to get here, the more spiritually mature we get, the less church is about us and more about us helping people. Mm-hmm. And I think that's church, and I think that's spiritual things, and I think that's firesides, because the last couple of firesides, I haven't gotten much out of it, but I feel once it's done, there's a few people there that need to be said hi to, need to feel welcome, so I have to go out of my way and say, hey, come on, let's sit down and have a cookie and let's talk and whatever. Because there are people there with real needs. There are people there that are lonely to the point there's a hole in their chest. And it's my job to help those people feel welcome and maybe meet another couple of people so the next time they come, they can be welcome. And it might just be a normal person. It might be somebody that's a little socially awkward. But so there's my spiel.
The purpose of the fireside, socially, not socially, but like, I guess in principle, is to be spiritually edified. So you're not really there with the pressure to be meeting people. So the purpose of that activity is not find your spouse. Whereas
Really?
activities, well,
I don't agree with that.
I mean, if they're a singles
Well-
one, they do say that.
It is a
But
single
like,
specific one.
if it's a fireside, you can say, I'm going to the fireside to just listen, and then I leave afterward. I can
Right.
get out whenever I want. You can go looking for a spouse,
Yeah.
but the pressure, I think, is alleviated because you're really there to hear the speaker. Whereas at an activity, I think the pressure is more on. You're going to the activity to meet people and potentially to be meeting a spouse. And that could be a reason to go and also a reason to not go to an activity. And that's one of the reasons why I don't really like going to activities sometimes, because that pressure is you're not here to make friends, you are here to find a spouse. And that might be a self-imposed pressure, maybe, potentially, but it's been something that's been ingrained in me. And the reason they call it a singles activity is because they're isolating that aspect of you. You are single, and that needs to be fixed. And so that gets into my head, and I don't want to socialize as much with other people because that means that I'm looking for someone. And so that is what I would say would be potentially a difference in my mind. I don't know what you would say, and I don't know what anyone else would say about that. But
I think
feel
two
that's
things.
a pressure.
Number one, every single person is going for a little bit different motivation.
yeah, I
But I'm
definitely
going to
agree with
say,
that.
you nailed it for the majority. People go, I want to be spiritually uplifted. Now, if I meet some people that I can hang with, cool.
Yeah.
If I meet my spouse, super cool. But there are people that go there going, man, I gotta find somebody. I gotta find somebody
Yes.
quick. So
But what do you think?
Yeah.
Because you
Yeah.
seem to have a very different opinion on that.
Yeah, like I think they're all for the same reasons. Like in my job, we have this thing called jobs to be done. Like what is the job you're trying to get done by hiring this activity or this product or this thing? So it's like, well, what job am I trying to get done by any of these activities? And I am pretty certain that the job to be done by all those is the same. We're just approaching them differently with self-imposed pressures, or even like the idea that we're trying to get fixed from singleness, I think is self-imposed. I have talked with a lot of leaders, and that is not their intention at all. And it's me who's putting that pressure on there, that I'm wrong, and that my single level is wrong, and that I'm not good enough because I'm single. And so I think it's easy to hear what I've told myself about what my situation is in what someone else is saying, because that's my definition. But I've learned as I've gotten older and opened myself up to being more assuming the best, that the people who are setting these up or are inviting me to things are doing it because they care about me and they want me to feel satisfaction spiritually, emotionally, connection, all those things in all of the activities. Not just going to a fireside and not just going to a dance and not just going to a game night, that all of those, like, we're a whole person, and no matter where I go, I'm developing all those aspects of myself. And so it may not seem spiritually playing Uno, but it is. And like connection is the same anywhere we go either. So, but I also really, really agree. People go for their own reasons, whatever they are. And I think it's important to know, what job am I trying to get done by going to this thing? And will this help me get that job done or not? And for me, firesides won't get the job done for me, because I go to things because they're fun. I go to things because they're free, and I go to things because I have friends there. So the 3 F's. But firesides is an F that I'm not super into.
We don't like that F.
Because that doesn't do the job for me. It's not social enough for me. It's not fun enough for me to leave my home before trying to rejuvenate for the next work day that starts really early in the morning. And I don't really meet a lot of people, and I definitely don't want the food anymore. That's just cookies stuff.
Yeah, that's another F we scratch off the list.
Yeah.
But I think that it also takes maturity to reach that point, because I think when you first start going to singles activities, like as we're younger, we let all those outside voices, and we say, oh, well, you know, I think that the point of going to a singles activity, my job to do, is to meet my future spouse, which I think that's one of the main ones, especially because it's called a singles ward, and everyone's so freaked out about being single. That was one thing that I went to a singles ward, and I was like, everyone's so freaked out about the fact that we're single. And so I was like, oh, that's the point of this. That's why everyone else is here. That's actually not why I'm here. I'm here to just go to church and to make friends and be part of a community, right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, I guess that's the point of it. And so it takes time and maturity. Like, I realized that for me, going to activities, at first I went to all the activities. I was like, because I'm supposed to go, right? Even if I wasn't looking for a spouse, I was like, I've been told that I'll be blessed if I go to these activities. And I went to almost all of them, right? And then I reached a point where I was like, hey, this isn't quite doing for me what I want it to do. And so, like, I can still have plenty of spiritual experiences. I can still go to church. I can still have a group of friends that feels like community. But it took time to reach a point where I realized what it is that I wanted from activities and which ones were worthwhile to go to.
Yeah. Yep. I think the more self-aware we are, the more enjoyment we're going to get out of whatever we do, because we're going to know ourselves well enough whether to go or not.
Right.
Yeah, it takes time and introspection.
Yeah.
And, like, even when I first moved to this state, I went to the singles ward, I met people, I made friends, and so, like, even for, like, a few months, it had a really great purpose. So going to activities was beneficial for me. But then, after a while, I was like, this isn't serving me. This isn't the best use of my time. And so it took even so it can change. I think if I moved again, I would probably go to a singles ward again and be like, hey, I want to make some friends my age and who also go to church regularly. But for me right now, where I'm at, it doesn't make as much sense to go very often.
Yeah.
So let's kind of wind this down a bit. Name the 5 activities you would come to.
I'll come up with one. I think one that is maybe more focused on a certain type of activity that is good for gathering a certain type of people, because sometimes they try to generalize activities a little too much and try to make it so that everyone can go, because they want everyone to be included. But if you focus it on a certain type of activity, like you could do maybe one that's themed around like your favorite book. Everyone can come and bring your favorite book, like a copy of your favorite book, and exchange it, and, you know, like learn about someone else's interests, and you can find someone who has a similar interest in reading to you, and you can build a friend group that way. So something that's more themed and adult leaning, in that you can actually interact and learn something about someone instead of just saying, hi, my name is this and this is what I do. So you learn about their personality, and you learn about people that are like you. So it doesn't have to be a book thing, but like some activity that, like, I like to do this. Yeah. These people like to do this because that's what that activity says, so I'm going to go to that activity.
I just thought of an activity, and because you said that. get a computer, put it on YouTube, and say, "What's your favorite YouTube video of all time?"
Yeah.
Sit down and watch it.
They're so entertaining.
You know,
Really good
I'm
at
going to
it.
say Paul Potts because I think YouTube was created for Paul Potts, and so we're going to sit there and we're going to watch Paul Potts, and then
And
I
go
think
around.
if you
really
went
fun.
through
Everybody's
10 or 12
online.
people,
Yeah.
that could be the greatest activity
yeah.
ever.
Yeah,
And it
that sounds
doesn't
so
matter
fun. I've done
if
it.
6 people showed up
Yeah.
or 36 people showed up. I think it could work.
Those
Yeah,
six
that
people
sounds
will
really
bond
fun,
together,
actually.
and
Yeah.
that's
Right.
really what we're looking for. Because
Yeah.
I think that we have a tendency to think, oh, when we're planning activities, we want to get as many people there as possible. But I think that if maybe 6 people show up to the YouTube one, and then 10 people show up to the book one because they really like to read, you're going to find your bookworm friends. You're going to find your YouTube savvy friends, right? And that's going to lead to a deeper connection than as opposed to 30 people were there.
Yes.
And
At a
I
dance.
talked to
Right.
one of them,
Right.
and
Couldn't
then
even
I
hear
got
what they were
scared and I
saying.
ran away.
So
I couldn't hear
loud.
them.
Well, it's how to interact and tell people who you are
Exactly.
without saying,
Yes.
I'm taking over this conversation. Watch this. When I was in high school football, you know?
Yeah, it helps you to start
Right.
conversations
Yes.
really easily. Because, like, hey, I came with my favorite book, and it's Harry Potter, right?
Right.
And like, oh, I came with mine, and I'm Lord of the Rings, and we're both super nerdy, and we're like, yeah, what's your other
Let's be
favorite?
friends.
And then you're like, oh, I'm
Mine's
like,
the
did you
Bridges
ever
of
see this
Madison
movie?
County.
Let's start a book club.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what other activities would you go to? Now that we just gave you the best activity in the history of the world.
A few of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
I came up with one when we were talking about this the other day. Of like, there are a lot of people our age who love to travel, and I thought it'd
Yeah.
be cool if you could set up like a table that represents like different continents, and then people who have traveled there can maybe like give a little spiel like, hey, I went there. These were the cool things I enjoyed. If you want to travel there, this is what I'd recommend doing. Definitely avoid these things, right? And then you could like swap around, and if you've never been to that place, you could.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
I feel like it would make it, I don't know, like I'm interested in traveling, but I haven't done it much yet. And if, like, it makes it so approachable, like, oh, and if I ever have a question, because I'm going to go travel there, I'm going to call up Linnea and Mackenzie, because they've both been to the place I want to go.
Yeah. Oh, that just sounds fun. Wow, I'm getting excited for all these activities.
What's an activity you go
Well,
to?
I am kind of probably more generic in that I would love to go to all of these, but I do like an occasional dance, mostly if it seems like I love Halloween dances. So fun. And
The best dance I've ever seen, singles wise, was something, and they planned it way in advance, and they said and I think it was James Bond.
I love one. It's so fun.
These
See,
girls came as Bond girls, or
Yes.
they came as the villain, and they
See,
came
that
as,
sounds fun.
and it was like a plan.
Yeah.
These people were playing. People were shopping on eBay for the right shoes and the right this and the right that.
and then you get excited about
And then you
it.
get excited, and you get there, and you go, "Oh, I'm dressed as this. I'm dressed," and most of the guys were either the bad guy
Or
you know,
James.
Or Bond.
or
Yeah.
Bond, and it was kind of weird. If the guys were bicked and had no hair, they tended to be the villains.
The villain.
And the guys with hair were like, Bond, so
That's fun.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Halloween
Themed
Love
dances.
theme dances.
Just
more
don't just say
specific.
we're
Yeah.
having the same thing we had last week. Show up at 9:00. We're
Yeah.
gonna be there. We'll do 2 line dances.
I don't
Yeah,
like
and you
line
would do that
dances.
once a quarter. We have a big theme
Yeah.
that people get excited about, because I think an important aspect of getting people to go actually is the hype of like,
Right.
hey, this is going to be super fun. It's
Right.
Bond themed, and I want
Yeah.
everybody to dress up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Then there was one I went to one time that was so fun that you walked in and they gave you headphones and they would switch different people having different songs and you had to find the group that was dancing to the same song that you were dancing to without the pressure of talking because you couldn't.
That's so cool.
And so you just go find people and be like, yeah. And then originally you'd be like, no, we're not dancing to the same thing. But it's nice to dance with you and like just kind of bop around and dance with people is really, really fun.
I think you have
That's
to have people
entertaining.
willing to play.
Well, yeah,
But-
there's
That's
always
the
gonna be
key,
people who
though.
play and don't want to play.
When
and
you
people
go to
who
that
wanna play will
activity,
come.
you'll find the people
Exactly.
that
Those
will
type
do
of
that
people.
kind of
Yeah,
thing.
when
So,
it's specific,
those are your
they're
people.
going to come.
Yeah.
And I think it's a misnomer to say, well, we got to do what's going to get the most people. You're probably going to have deeper connections and enjoy who you meet and actually
Right.
stay talking with each other if it's a smaller group.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I like less than 10 people.
And then you go to
personally.
church on Sunday and you're like, hey, I didn't
Yeah.
see you at that activity. And they're like, it's not really
It's
my
not my
thing.
thing.
And
Yeah.
now you know. And it doesn't mean you're not going to be friends
Yep.
with them, but it just means that you know that that's not their thing.
Yeah.
I think the one that I'm going to say, and I'm going to go back to the base hit, we just started putting on Facebook, hey, we're going to this restaurant. It's a small group.
Yeah.
You got a table of 6 over here, and so you can, I haven't spoken with these people a lot. I'm going to go over there. Or I don't really feel like meeting somebody new. I'm going to kind of hang with my 3 besties and whoever sits at this table. But like I said, if you go to a restaurant, the gentlemen will show, the males will show up.
True.
Yeah.
Well, that's a really good point.
Yeah. Well, I think we created a really great list of activities here.
Yes. So if you are a representative, which pretty much they make all of us as soon as they find we're single
point or
and we attend a family ward, you just have been given a laundry list of wonderful activities.
And even a way to think of new ones.
And
Yeah.
please
Principles.
post your good ones
Yes.
in the comments below or email us and send, hey, this works great up here. This works great over here. If you're looking to get 6 people or 8 people but have a great time, this, that, you're looking to get 100 people. I think there were 250 people at the Bond dance.
Fun.
And I think
It
that's
was
what's
incredible.
interesting is by making it specific, maybe you think that you're going to narrow it down to only people who like Bond movies,
But really,
but then 200 people
It
show
actually attracts more people.
Yeah.
So why do they have ladies' nights at the clubs?
because ladies don't want to show up unless they know that their other ladies are going to be there.
No. Because the guys are going to
Yeah,
come if they know the ladies are there.
true.
Ladies
That's true.
get in free. Ladies get in half price drinks, whatever.
Yeah.
They're like, well, there's usually like 10 women there. There's going to be 100 tonight. Guys are coming. And they will. So sometimes
Okay. I
if
see
they
that.
know there's
Yeah.
going to be a whole lot of people, well, there's going to be new people that I've never met. So I'm going to go.
Yeah. All right, so what's your take on this? Leave a comment below to help us continue the conversation. This has been LDS Singles Anonymous, and thanks for watching.